I used to attach my identity to my market value. And that's what broke me. It wasn't the circumstances, it was the seat I was playing in. And that's why the scared to sacred shift is so important, because as you're building and scaling, you are going to nosedive at some point. It will happen.
Yeah.
And those moments when I nosedived, when I invested 6 figures in a deal that went way south, I got mercury poisoning. I had 2 herniated discs in my neck. I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now. I lost my mom. Grief showed up heavily in my body. And as someone who is a problem solver in like structure and systems, there was no control in any of that. And I had to completely surrender to an ethereal force, whether you call it God, source, universe, whatever you call it. If you subscribe to some line of thinking that you didn't create yourself, you didn't create your parents, you didn't create your grandparents, whatever that thing is that created you, carried me.
When I set a vision in my life and I look at my faith, my family, my business, my health, my wealth, I want other people in these real stories to hear the real stories of that journey.
I have everything that I've wanted, like in terms of family life, beautiful wife, making good money, and like my world's upside down right now in my head.
God is so good. He shows us his hands. Like people think miracles are like, like someone being instantly healed. It's so much more than that. They can be the smallest things where he shows his goodness in your life.
If you think of something and you believe it and you see it in your mind, it's meant for you. Go chase it.
See you in the next episode of Real Stories. Meet Staci Gray, visionary founder of Organized to Scale, operational strategist, systems thinker, and heart-centered leader. With a deep passion for helping mission-driven entrepreneurs bring their big visions to life, Staci and her team at Organized to Scale have supported hundreds of business owners in building scalable, sustainable companies that don't sacrifice sanity or soul. Her story is one of clarity, faith, and alignment, and the ripple effects of her work have transformed families, teams, and legacies. This is her real story. Welcome, Staci.
Thank you, Jamie Lee. I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm happy you're here. I want to start with just a moment of closing our eyes and thinking about whatever first comes to mind when I ask you this question. What are you grateful for that's happened in your life in the past 24 hours? What first comes to your heart?
Grace. I think grace comes up a lot when I think about the things that I'm grateful for. But even us meeting is a gift of grace.
Yeah.
And being able to spend 3 days with you and your leadership team and see not just the systems, structure, accountability that was installed that's going to create a lot of time, money, and location freedom for you, but more importantly, the peace, purpose, presence, freedom. And I think that's all a gift of grace.
Yes, it is, for sure. I felt it, and I know it's going to transform not just my life. I've sent you a message about this, but it's going to transform the lives of the people in the leadership team and flow out through hundreds of people inside of the 3 offices and in the future, many more. So thank you for being there, being present, and taking the time out of your life to impact. It was very meaningful.
It's a blessing as much for me as I think it will be for you.
Thank you. So I have learned so much just in getting to know you from our first calls and then Austin, that you have this authentic way about you and that you are always speaking from what I feel is your heart. And you also, in the room with my leadership team, have this way to speak truth in love and create absolute clarity in chaos. And it's a quality that you have that's so powerful. I don't know if anyone's ever mentioned this to you before. It's very, very rare. And I'd love for the listeners in this to get a peek behind the curtain, to understand why you built what you built, who you are, and if you could just sort of give us some snippets of real Staci attached to the intro that I just did. And please brag a little. I want them to know all about everything you do.
Well, I went to the School of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
So, where do I start? So I was homeschooled. I don't know if you knew that.
I don't think I did.
And I graduated at 16. If there's such thing as graduation when you're homeschooled, I don't know. But I was done with high school at 16. My father is a successful entrepreneur, had some companies, and he said he didn't want me to go off to college at 16 and said, come work with me for 2 years. And if by 18 you don't like it and you want to go to college, you can. So I started answering the phones, taking registrations, and this was back when you would put a credit card into one of those keypad merchant things. We didn't have Stripe or any online e-commerce at the time. And within about 6 or 8 months, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, that's fine. You just have to hire and train your replacement. And he handed me a copy of E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And that was my first introduction to systems and workflows and playbooks and kind of the McDonald's model. Mm-hmm. And so I created a registration coordinator handbook, printed it out, put it in the sleeves in a notebook, posted an ad on Craigslist to hire somebody, hired the person, and I'm 16 years old.
Wow.
And then I said, oh no, I have to manage this person. I know nothing about managing. So then I started reading Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, all of the greats in leadership and personal development and so forth. Eventually became the president of those companies, went on and built some other companies. And then in 2014, 2015, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And my father called me and asked me to come run the family businesses again. I said yes, but I'm going to build a leadership team and install systems. So I did that. I spent the last 18 months of my mom's life with her. Those systems and that leadership team really afforded me the space to do that. I didn't know it at the time, but that was what became Organized to Scale, was those systems. And she ended up passing in December of 2019. We had her celebration of life February 14th, 2020. I launched Organized to Scale March 30th, 2020, which was 2 weeks after the world really shifted.
Yeah.
And I then went to build Organized to Scale 36 businesses in 36 months that resulted in $300 million raised for different investment deals. And there was a plot twist in that whole thing. I invested 6 figures into something that really went south. And that was the start of what I now call the sacred shift, which is what you sort of experienced during our 3-day. Mm-hmm. And Organized to Scale is not just organizing the operational systems and the structures, which I call the calendar code, but it's also organizing to scale the humans sitting around the boardroom who are going to be the players running those playbooks. And those leaders have to go from the scared seat to the sacred seat, which is what I call the sacred shift. And you go from white knuckling your way through things, wanting to control everything, feeling like if you drop a ball or something goes south or something goes sideways, it's a reflection of who you are, your identity. Mm-hmm. And so I invite people to get into the seat of the sacred and trust the systems, trust their teammates, and then trust that the structure will hold them as they scale. And my reason for doing that is to restore dinner tables one boardroom at a time.
Wow. I'm already just feeling, aside from 3 days with me, how many people have, I'm sure, so many stories. So is there anyone, without saying who they are, or a story after you've done these 3 days with a person that comes back and just thanks you for changing their life?
Yes. And because why it's important for me to do what I do is because I care about your dinner table. And a lot of times when we're building and scaling our businesses, we are hanging from the tabs in our heads and we are overcommitting. So we're saying yes to everything. We have so many things on our calendar that our health is suffering, our relationships are suffering. We're missing dinner or soccer games or things that we say are important to us. And one of the most meaningful reflections was when a man came to me and said that I saved his marriage.
Wow.
And that's what it's about. It's about love and connection with the people that you care about. Especially after losing my mom, memories matter more than money.
They really do. And if you ask children growing up what they remember most, I've heard oftentimes they remember family vacations or special moments where the mom or the dad showed up at a special game and saw them score a goal. And those memories are why we're running these businesses, really. So it's special what you do. Thank you for sharing a bit more about the story behind why it exists and how from the heart it is. So I want to ask a question just regarding, obviously, your family being homeschooled. How many siblings did you have? Were you all homeschooled? What do you feel the difference was in that experience for you? Was there pivotal moments or things you learned being homeschooled that might be different from regular?
Well, I only know my story.
Yes.
So I didn't, I went to school 2 days a week at our church, and then I would get assignments and then I would do them at home. So it was more independent. And I'm one of 6 kids. My mother had a son when she was 16, who she gave up for adoption and later found us. So he's a huge part of our lives now. He's actually a pastor. When she was alive, I used to joke with her, the best kid you had is the one you didn't raise. Because he's a pastor and she's a believer like us. And so as growing up, I didn't see the value, and I didn't feel like I was missing out either on going to school. So I did gymnastics and diving and swimming and soccer, and I was really athletic, and I was a part of all of those communities and enjoyed that. So I didn't feel like I missed out there. I had a lot of really great friends growing up. The things in hindsight that I can look at that really, I think, instilled what I do today is resourcefulness and critical thinking. So when we would have assignments, because there were so many of us kids, my mother would say, go spend 30 minutes working on it. If you can't figure it out, come back and ask me. And usually by the time 30 minutes was up, I had figured it out. They would tell us, you can go play outside. You can do whatever you want after your work is done. So I would get up and get all my work done and then basically play outside all day. And so it gave me control and agency over my time and attention, which I think taught me a little bit of self-discipline and how to allocate my time as well. I think those would be probably resourcefulness, critical thinking, self-discipline, time allocation. Another thing that they did with us growing up was all the money we earned or got gifted, whether it was birthday money or anything, we had to give 10% to tithe. And then the 90% that was left over, 45% went to savings and 45% went to spending. Anything that we took from our spending and put into our savings, they would match. So I had $25,000 saved when I was 18, and that's actually how I bought my first property.
I love it. And I love it so much because this is something I'm like, oh, good. My kids are going to end up like Staci. So Jack, when he earns money umpiring or birthday gifts, I have him do the same.
Oh, I love it.
We take 10%, and he has 2 charities he really loves. One is a Christian-led, it's called TLC, and they help young women who are having babies that have been either kicked out of their house or whatever the circumstances. So these moms need all kinds of stuff, and he donates there. And he does a baby bottle drive where he goes to the neighbors and asks for loonies. And then Horizon, which is now Baba and Mwani, and it's an orphanage in Kitale, Kenya. So he's passionate about that giving piece. And then we call it the investing account, but I love the idea of matching it to encourage if he's taking from his spending and adding it to the investing. I love that. And I love that you bought a house. How old were you when you bought your first house?
18.
Okay.
It was
so
a
we have
fourplex in
similarities
Phoenix.
there too.
Yeah.
Wow. No, it's incredible what you can teach young children in a different way. And I won't go on the deep bunny trail of talking about school, but I love it that you were homeschooled. I always have these inclinations to do things differently with my kids. That's probably a nudge to do something. During COVID, we actually took our kids out of school, iPad school. Canada closed in a weird way, and we did a lot from travel. So we took them for 3 months and just went away and basically removed them from that iPad school that existed for a couple of years in Canada. So I love hearing that story about.
I think the screens, this is true of all humans, not just kids, but the screens open a lot of tabs in our brains. And then we're just hanging from the tabs in our head, totally disconnected from our bodies. And as a human, we're body, mind, soul, and spirit. And when we are attached to screens so much, sometimes we forget we have a body. And a lot of why I care about organizing to scale businesses is to remind you that there's other aspects to you than just what you're building or just the screen or just what you're doing or producing. You're a human being, and your energy and your essence and your presence matters attached from anything that you're, what I call the performance perfection trap. If I make it better, if I achieve more, if I do more, am more, faster, stronger, more zeros in my bank account, more number of followers, all of these things, then I will finally be able to exhale. And I think allowing kids and all humans to exhale, even while you are building and creating something meaningful, is creating boundaries around that screen time too.
So important and so challenging this day and age. What are your, just curiosity question, what are your siblings into? Are they on all different paths? Were they all homeschooled?
So my oldest brother that I wasn't raised with, he's a pastor. My older sister, she is a full-time mother. She has 8 kids and 1 on the way. So a very, very full house. And I like being an auntie to all of them. My other brother, he is into technology. So he trades the stock market. He has some tech he does with cattle. I don't know. He's so smart. My sister supports my dad in the business. My other brother is into sales.
Wow. Neat. We talked about where you grew up a little bit. You're not originally from Austin, Texas. You're born and raised in California.
Yep.
And where did the seed get planted with this idea, organized to scale? How did you identify this idea and actually execute on that?
It found me. So when my mom got sick, my father was working a lot. And he loved it though. So it was a choice to work a lot. And a lot of us do that. Like our passion consumes us and we just keep saying yes because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
But when she got sick, a clock was ticking. And so when I organized to scale those businesses, all of his students, clients are real estate investors, business owners, entrepreneurs. And so when they saw what I did for him, they asked me to do it for them. And I said, I don't know if this is a thing. Like, I don't know if I can organize to scale a bunch of businesses, but a few people said, I'll be your guinea pig. I'll be your guinea pig. And so I did my first 3-day, I did my first 90-day sprint, I did my 90-day review, I trained integrators. So I pair visionaries with their integrators, and then I train their number 2s with the calendar code and the sacred shift model. Again, none of these had names. I just was doing it, not knowing I was doing it. And so the demand for it, the request to do it, happened. I didn't have a website. I had nothing.
You were just doing it.
I was just doing it, which I think is important to just double click on. A lot of times as leaders or people who even are starting businesses, they have all of these prerequisites on themselves. Oh, I have to have a website. I have to have a logo. I have to have a brand. I have to have social media. I have to have a business. I've had none of those things and built $1 million business. So you can do a lot with taking the pressure off of yourself and just enjoying and playing the process. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, I have 3 brokerages. Oh, I have 400 agents. How did this happen? I don't know. I just kept saying yes.
Yeah. That's so true. And it is a good message because I'm sure there's people with ideas and they hesitate to get started because they're just saying, I need to have this, and this in order before I start.
Yeah.
But you're a living example of that's not necessarily the case. Was there a low point in your personal or professional life where you had to completely surrender and rebuild?
Yes.
Do you want to share it?
Multiple times.
Okay.
I think it's the human journey.
Yes.
And if you're going to run hard, you're going to fall hard. And I have never met a high achiever that doesn't run hard. I've been behind the scenes under the hood of hundreds of businesses, and everyone runs hard. They all are deeply passionate, big hearts, care, want to solve a problem in the world. And when you do that, you're going to test your limits. And then you're going to find out, oh, wow, that was a little too much gas. I bit off more than I could chew and I'm choking now. And that's going to happen. And there's no shame in that journey. And I see a lot of people not get back up because they think they did it wrong or they made a mistake or they failed. And yeah, I went to the school of hard knocks. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to have failure. There's obviously lessons in all of them. So I've almost basically died twice. And those experiences, I've also lost all my money one time. Those experiences really taught me my identity. And I am not what I do. I am not my bank accounts. And I have innate value, which is different than my market value. And my innate value is God-given. I breathed into you the breath of life. I have divine DNA in every cell of my existence. And whether I get out of bed and I record another podcast or write a book or stand on stage or do another deal, I have value. And then I have my market value, which is transactional, right? I show up and I provide a value and I'm compensated for it. I used to attach my identity to my market value. And that's what broke me. It wasn't the circumstances, it was the seat I was playing in. And that's why the scared to sacred shift is so important, because as you're building and scaling, you are going to nosedive at some point. It will happen.
Yeah.
And those moments when I nosedived, when I invested 6 figures in a deal that went way south, I got mercury poisoning. I had 2 herniated discs in my neck. I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now. I lost my mom. Grief showed up heavily in my body. And as someone who is a problem solver in like structure and systems, there was no control in any of that. And I had to completely surrender to an ethereal force, whether you call it God, source, universe, whatever you call it. If you subscribe to some line of thinking that you didn't create yourself, you didn't create your parents, you didn't create your grandparents, whatever that thing is that created you, carried me. I mean, even us sitting here on this podcast right now is a reflection of that because of how I met the man that introduced you and I. And Surrender is the strategy. I get to show up in my full essence, bringing all of the skills, talents, wisdom that I've collected from the School of Hard Knocks into every moment I'm in, and then trust I'm at the right table, I'm talking to the right people, and show up in my fullest expression in those moments. And that entire thing is a surrender process.
Yes. Thank you for sharing the depth there, because it's more than just a thought or transaction. It's your reality that you've lived, and you are the product of all of the things that have happened in your life up to the point of randomly showing up in a smoothie shop and meeting Gio, who then connected you to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you show up, yes, it can be a transaction. You're going to help me in my business. However, there's another form of that, and I think that's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's much deeper. And I love that you describe it in a way that I would never be able to. So thank you for sharing it. And I want to ask you a little bit about if there's a specific family or entrepreneur or story along the journey of helping hundreds of people that sticks out to you. Obviously, someone came and said, "You've saved my marriage." That's huge. Is there a person or someone in particular that stands out that you've learned something from? And would you be open to sharing that story?
Yes. It's actually my story,
Okay.
which I think is appropriate for real stories.
Yes.
So when I fell really, really hard and I got mercury poisoning, the herniated discs, I'd invested in a bad deal, my mom died, all of those things had happened. It was like the perfect storm for an identity shift for me. And I might cry, which I don't typically tell this story. So I'm usually the one that comes into your business and helps you exhale.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely have someone come into my business and to help me exhale.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister, the one with 8 kids and the 9th one on the way, came in as my number 2, as my integrator. And the Rooted founder is because she named it. She said, "This is who you are." And she reminded me of who I was when I had lost my way. And I think that's grace. You know, it's what we started the podcast with is she helped me go from the scared seat to the sacred seat, which is what I help everyone else do, but nobody had done it for me. And then she came in and she did it for me, named the Rooted founder to remind me of who I was. And a lot of why I can even do the sacred shift for so many leaders now is because not only was I doing it before, now I had experienced what it felt like as the visionary.
Wow. What a woman.
Yeah, she's incredible.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't have words. And I'm really grateful that you shared that you've been there, because I think especially, and this is just because I am a woman, I think sometimes we take on so much and then we just keep sprinting. And it's like, sometimes you have to crash and fall and then know that you've got someone there and they're there to pick you up and remind you. And that is grace. And I think because you have experienced it, you can recognize it.
Yes. And a lot of times when you're in that moment where you hit that ceiling, you're on the verge of burnout or burning it all down. And you don't want either. You want someone to say, "It's okay, stay the course. keep going. We're going to bring in the cavalry.
Yeah.
And everything that you've just sprinted towards, we're not going to let it crumble.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put systems in place. We're going to put leadership in place. And sometimes people don't know how to do that for another.
Yeah.
They just say, oh, well, you got yourself into it, get yourself out. And you're like, I'm drowning. I can't get myself out.
Yeah.
Or they just watch you burn out or burn it all down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another way. You can scale and exhale.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have the right systems run by the right people.
And you to help.
Yes, and the structure.
Yes. And that's the beauty of what you do. So if you're watching this and you're in a position of chaos or feeling scattered to a degree that you don't know how to make that step forward, there's people like Staci for that who are experts in this and have been there. And I do often say, when you're looking to achieve something or take the next step, or you're searching to get to the next height or pinnacle, and it doesn't matter what it is. If I wanted to learn how to be an expert mom and raise children that are going to be able to buy a house when they're 18, I could learn that from you because you've done that before. I could probably speak to your sister who's raising almost 9 beautiful humans, and that's what you want to look for. There's formulas, and you have to be aware and wise enough to discern the formula that you're putting your time, effort, and money into. And then oftentimes those formulas will give you the system so that you can live in that state of being. And that was the big wake up for me during our 3 days, because there's so many things on the calendar, and you often wake up and it's like, whoa, I looked at the map that you drew and I was almost in shock at how much was in my brain and how much I got to take out and know that in time I can trust others to handle those tasks that I really shouldn't be doing anyway because I suck at them. Mm-hmm. So it was such an incredible experience, and I encourage people to go on that journey if you haven't properly systematized your business yet, because it'll help you systematize your life too.
Yes.
In the fast moving world we're in with so much distraction, I'd love for you to share a little bit, just a snippet. You talked about the calendar system, the calendar code, and how critical it is that we focus on the 3 different things. Can you talk about that? I have it written in my journal, and I'm going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks, very focused, because it's so important. And the question I have is, how do you stay grounded in your calling and in your human being with, I mean, you're scaling hundreds of other businesses, and there's a lot of stuff that you could get distracted by. So can you explain that to people watching?
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of writing a chapter in my book, Scale and Exhale, right now, and it's The Calendar is Your Best Friend. And in researching that chapter, I started looking up what the word calendar means and where it comes from. I don't know if you know this, but it comes from the Roman times. So calendar, it comes from a Roman Latin word. I'll butcher it, but it comes from this word, and it would mark the new moon, and it would signify when debts were due. So it was a tool of obligation. It was a tool of debt. It was a tool of control. And now I believe the calendar is a cathedral. It tells you what you worship. And it's an invitation for us to get back control of our time, get back control of our attention, get back control of what we say is important and what we value and what our priorities are. And we have to have structure, because without structure, it's just chaos. But too much structure, there's no room for flow, for fluidity, for coincidences or synchronicities or spirit to express itself through us. So what I have found to work, and this has been an experiment that I've done with myself and then with leaders of organizations as well, is it's a 3-step process or a 3-frame process. So we have to have a frame, which is how are we going to allocate our time? And so in business, we have the 3-day strategic planning session, which we just wrapped up yesterday. And then we run a 90-day sprint. So we have 3 to 5 priorities we're focusing on in a 90-day sprint. Then we do a 90-day review and we say what's working, what's not working, what are we going to focus on in the next 90 days? And we have a new set of 3 to 5 priorities that we're focusing on in the next 90 days. And we do a 90-day sprint, 90-day review, 90-day sprint, 90-day review, and so forth. So you have that frame of this is how I'm going to allocate my time. Mm-hmm. Then you have to have framework. So when I do this 3-day, I'm going to show up and day 1 is going to be vision building. We're going to talk about what the vision is, what the customer journey is, and we have frameworks, templates, tools, and so forth that we bring to that time that we've already allocated to do it. Mm-hmm. Day 2 is process mapping. What are the workflows? What's the accountability structure? What's the scorecards? What's the KPIs? So we have those frameworks to it. And then day 3 is action planning. What are the 3 to 5 priorities we're going to focus on? How are we going to set up the calendar over the next 90 days with one-on-one meetings, our leadership team meetings, and what those all have organizers as well when we start executing them on them in the 90-day sprint. So that's your framework. Then you have your final F, which is the frequency. And so frame is time allocation. Framework is your time attention. This is what I'm focusing on during that time. Frequency is your time ascension. How am I energetically going to show up to my dinner table? How am I energetically going to show up to the boardroom? Mm-hmm. And inside of your 3-day, one of your leaders asked why I was doing it or what my reason for doing it was. And when I come into a 3-day, my only intention is to create space and grace. A lot of times organizations are hitting a ceiling because people are hanging from the taps in their head. They're overwhelmed, they're out of capacity, they're unclear on what the workflows are, what the metrics for success are. And there's oftentimes what we call a pink elephant conversation, a clearing that needs to happen, where we have to say, okay, let's put the things that are cringeworthy on the table and meet them with an abundance of grace so that we can transcend them, get to a new sacred agreement, and then put a plan together for what we're going to do moving forward. And that's where energetically we get to ascend beyond the circumstance, beyond the narrative, beyond the story that is keeping us stuck, and invite into the next iteration of who we are as human beings, who we are as leaders, and who we are as teammates that can get to that next level. And inside of all of that is you can't scale chaos, you can only scale trust. And what we have to install is self-trust in every single leader around that boardroom. Mm-hmm. And that self-trust allows the team to have trust, which is the second tier, which then allows your tribe to have trust. So all of your agents and all of the podcasts that you do and the community that you, Horizon, all the things that you impact, they can count on you and can rely on you, and you can be consistent because you have self-trust, team trust, tribe trust in a framework, and frequency that's scalable.
Mm-hmm. And it's so beautiful when it's all flowing. I'm sure you've seen it go from chaos and scattered to abundance and flowing.
Yes.
With a healthy leadership team.
Yes.
And that's the second part of the question for the calendars. What is your recommendation on that calendar for that individual, that visionary? What do you recommend people focus on inside of their calendar?
So I suggest every leader create an ideal week. And I break it into 3 parts, which is grace, grit, and gratitude, or grace, gratitude, grit, whatever order you want to do it in. But it's first getting your human aligned and your body, mind, soul, and spirit. So for me, I use my mornings. You asked me at the top of the podcast. My mornings are structured and my mornings are sacred to me. And that's where I move my body. I do breath work or meditation to remember I have a soul and I'm a spirit. I do a detox protocol and I work out and I nourish myself. That reading or journaling, that's all in the morning. And I call that my grace time. And oftentimes that's the easy one to sacrifice when you're scaling. And that's why surrender is the strategy and the calendar is a cathedral. And you continue to remind yourself that you are a human being. So I put that in first. And then grit is usually my working time. And when my sister came into my business to support me, she told me grit means God really is there. And it was a really helpful reminder for me that all you can do is all you can do and all you can do is enough, which is an old saying my father used to tell me. And it's faith in action. You get up, you do really good work, you work hard, you put in the effort, and then you surrender the difference to God, grace. And then gratitude, oftentimes it's hard to switch gears as a leader. So as a business owner, we get paid to solve problems. And sometimes when we take the lens of problem solving to our dinner tables, our spouses and family don't like it so much. They're like, why are you trying to fix me? Why are you trying to control me? Why are you telling me how to load the dishwasher or reorganizing the dishwasher after I loaded it? And so I shift gears to gratitude. I'm thankful it's a messy kitchen because that means people I love are eating and playing together. I'm thankful that I get to go out on the boat. I'm thankful that I get to go paddleboarding. I'm thankful that I get to take my dog to the trail. I'm thankful for those things. And energetically, I am invited to shift when I move between my boardroom and my dinner table. And so I invite leaders to do the same thing.
Yeah. I loved that you went over that platform. And that is honestly the one I struggle with the most. Now that my 4 children are all sleeping through the night, I have my morning back and it's so important. I'm waking up earlier and I had no trouble with the middle part, the grit. I love the new meaning of that. And the end, when you walk through that front door, I'm almost picturing it like, okay, got to shift gears.
Yes.
And now I'm not going to bother about the dirty socks on the floor or the fact that there's baseballs all over my front entry. I joke around a lot about having the 4 kids and the natural mess that, I mean, it just is. My 2-year-old will find anything she can and just leave it somewhere.
Yeah.
And my 5-year-old's the same. And there's beauty in that. And actually, John, you'll be listening to this because you watch all these podcasts. He sent me on the end of day 2, I believe, this video of this woman. And I had come home, and those days are, day 2 is mentally exhausting for a visionary.
Yes.
So I get home,
Yes.
I text Staci, I'm like, is it normal that my brain hurts or something like that? Yes. And then I open up my phone and my house was a mess. Thursdays, I only have someone help half day. So it was a real mess. And my brain hurt. And then John, we'll not talk about the details of John's future. That's just
We already know it.
We already know it. Sends me this video of this 80-year-old woman waking up from a dream and her children are running around the house and there's socks everywhere and it looked like my house and I just start crying.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, John, jeez.
Yes.
And my heartstrings go off. And then Bella's asking me for a warm bottle of milk and to watch Cinderella with her. And I just turned off.
Yes.
I had nothing left. I probably had 4 or 5 tabs in my brain open still. And I shut them and I shifted that gear. And it was all thanks to that structured talk and John's text of love, knowing that after a sore brain day, I'd be walking into that. And he was just sending that gentle, love-filled reminder to embrace it and live in it. And so any women, men watching this that struggle to turn off, the encouragement is to turn off and be present, because those years might feel long, but they fly by.
Yeah.
So thank you for the reminder and the outline of that structure and what it looks like. Is there something that you're doing right now that you want to share that just feels completely aligned, or that's on your heart that you feel so called to be doing?
Yes. So actually, I think you said it a few times during the 3-day, like, I feel relief. I feel like I'm exhaling. And I'm working on writing my book, Scale and Exhale. And one of your team members at the end of day 3 came up to me and said, "This is your divine calling. You're changing people's lives. Please keep doing it." And sometimes it's easy to take your foot off the gas pedal. Like, you could wake up in your dream life and be like, "Oh, okay, I don't really want to create again or build again, or I'm happy." And then you hear stories of, "You're changing my boardroom, you're changing my dinner table." And it's a blessing to be a blessing. And I think sometimes in our consumerism, we think if we collected all the things, then we can just sit on the sidelines, just cheer, and not be in the arena anymore. And so my sister coming in to support me put me back in the arena. Meeting Giovanni put me back in the arena. Meeting you put me back in the arena. And it's a reminder to me, just as much as I think a gift to the people that I support, to continue to play in this earth space continuum we're in right now. And so Scale and Exhale is that for me. It's taking my calendar code and the sacred shift and putting it into writing so that it can be a $20 gift to the world, that they can read it and use it and embody it and shift their calendar from being a place of obligation and stress and responsibility to really representing their priorities and feeling like a sanctuary and a cathedral again. And so I'm excited about that. And I love hearing the impact it makes when I get to do my one-on-one work, but also when people, show up on my feed on social media or meet me at an event and share that it's helping them organize and restore their dinner tables, because it matters.
It really, really does. And I met someone at Gio's event as well who I sat with at lunch, and I believe he had 5 children, and he shared his great tips, because again, I'm looking for formulas to follow of parents who have raised healthy, not necessarily fully successful yet, but healthy spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally children, and how they did it. So I can do the same.
Yes.
And I know in order to do the same, I need my time. And that's where you showed up, in perfect time, the divine calling. And I'm just so blessed to have met you, to have just had you with my team for 3 days. I'm so anticipating everything that's going to unfold ahead of us. And it's not just about my leadership team. There's so many other elements of things that I do feel divinely connected to you. Is there people that you mentor that have shared things with you that have changed or influenced how you show up, or anyone that you've learned from?
I think I learned from everyone. I think there's something to learn from everyone. I think I really appreciate it when people reflect back to me their experience of me. And I have a friend, he says, you can't see the label inside the jar. And so sometimes I just do what I do. Even this intro, I was like, oh, that was your experience? That's so cool. And I don't have an agenda other than space and grace and frames and frameworks. That's it. I I want to restore dinner tables one boardroom at a time. And if I can give you presence back around your boardroom, then you'll be present around your dinner table. And your purpose is presence. So I feel like the people that I have mentored have said, you're not just organizing to scale businesses, you're like a therapist. And sometimes I don't see that fully, but I think it's because you can't see someone and you only see someone to the extent that you've seen yourself.
Yes.
And I have gone through the school of hard knocks. I've gone through deep, deep grief. I've gone through numbing and dumbing cycles. And I've had to clear the cobwebs of my own heart and face those shadows and slay those demons. And it's a blessing to me when I can sit in a boardroom or a dinner table and someone else is willing to slay their demons, face their shadows, and clear the cobwebs with space and grace, and then share how that impacted them. It's, I think, how we can shift as humans to love again.
Yes. So, and it's a good reminder for people to actually share those feelings. So, because there's often, this is for everyone, right? We don't necessarily understand or know how someone perceives us or experiences what we do because no one necessarily tells you. So it's a call to everyone to share the reflection or the heart of how you feel when you're with someone and love on others for those elements that you learn from them and that you love about them. Because often we just keep on plowing through and forget to, I often find actually some of the strongest leaders and fastest movers don't slow down to share those thoughts.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of unexpressed gratitude.
Yes, that's what it is.
It's easy to just keep moving the target on ourselves. Like, okay, we achieved that. Great. Next one.
Yeah.
And that's why Dan Sullivan wrote The Gap and the Gain, so that we could measure ourselves by the progress. So can I take a minute and say what I see in you?
Oh, yes. I'd love that. That's very nice of you.
And I would love it, whoever is watching this, that you would comment or DM her and tell her what you see in her too, because it will bless her. So when I met you, I could see you had a huge, huge heart. And I still see that, your heart. You care deeply about people. You want to help people, even if it's at the expense of yourself. And you care about your husband, you care about your kids, you care about all of your agents. I think you talked about them so many times when we first started talking. You care about your staff, your leadership team, a tremendous amount. The amount of gifts and giving, both just with your energy and your presence, but also with your financial means, is rare in leaders.
Interesting.
And it's generosity. And I feel grateful to be able to support you in organizing to scale your business, because I know you are not going to do it for consumption. You're going to do it for impact. You're going to do it for change. You're going to do it to help people live extraordinary lives. And I can see that you are you're quiet about it though. And so you're very, very humble, very, very smart. And also just this soothing energy that goes everywhere, but doesn't look for magnification or attention. And it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's very sweet of you. I've never heard someone say that in the way you did. So thank you very much. And it's been, it's almost like when I met you, first it was Zoom. And then maybe a phone call or Zoom. I don't remember how this all sort of happened. But then I met you in person, and there was just this feeling of like, I felt like I've known you for a long time. But it wasn't because it's like, oh, I recognize her face. I just felt connected to you. So thank you for sharing that. That's very kind of you and encouraging. Makes me feel like I'm on the right path.
I think you are.
I think I'm going to close with asking you, if we met and did this again in a year, what would we be celebrating?
I don't know what I'm allowed to share or not, because I think I'd be celebrating you.
Oh.
I would be celebrating expansion. I would be celebrating the calendar code being installed in your business, but maybe even with your agents.
Mm-hmm.
We would be celebrating a lot more no screen time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think we would be celebrating a few more trips that we'd been on together.
Yeah.
I think we'd be celebrating health.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a baby.
Yeah. Not for me.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel the same. Growth in the spirit, growth in structure in the calendar, growth in the business, and growth in your belly.
Not from carbs.
No. Oh my goodness. I would love for you to share the name, if you have it, of the book that you're writing, and where people can find you online. And if they do run a business and you are still organizing to scale, where they can find you.
Yes. So the working title of the book is Scale and Exhale. I have the domain. There's nothing on the domain yet, but someday there will be.
Okay.
And they can find me on my website at Staci Gray, STACIGRAY.com. On Instagram, Staci, STACI_Gray. If you would like, I have created a loom of the calendar code that if any of you listening are interested, you can just DM me and I'll send it to you.
Okay. And if there was anything else that I could do, if something comes up and makes me think of you, or something that you're still working on that we haven't discussed yet, is there anything that you can think of in any way that I could help you?
Yes.
Okay.
Introduce me to people more like you.
All right. I'll do it.
I love it. I look forward to it.
Okay. Thank you, Staci.
Thank you,
for your
Jamie
time.
Lee.
Thank you so much for joining me and Staci Gray on this episode of Real Stories Podcast with JLB. Please like and subscribe, and can't wait to see you next time.